Hi everybody, this is Agnes from Sediment, and today let's talk about sugar in wine and should we really focus on dry wines only. Is dry wine really better? There was this one champagne. It was made from vineyards with very chalky soils, fermented in stainless steel, with zero dosage, meaning no sugar added, and minimally aged on its lees. It was high in acidity, austere, and lacked depth. Priced well over $100 per bottle, it was not flawed, but it lacked balance, offering little pleasure when drinking. Now, when I recently searched for it again, the winemaking has changed. They have introduced some oak and even dosage. I wonder why they changed such statement. Now, don't get me wrong, the majority of wines I drink are dry, but I also adore actually, sweet wines and sweet fortified wines. Additionally, I greatly appreciate semi-sweet and off-dry wine styles as well. Indeed, in the wine world, there are many wines with noticeable residual sugar where it adds balance and, with age, helps to develop layers of aroma and flavor complexity. Therefore, it simply seems odd to me that some would only stick to bone-dry wine styles and with foam at their mouths defend that no sugar is the pillar of a great wine. And while sugar plays an important role in the majority of the bottom-shelf supermarket wines, it is also a very important element in some of the world's greatest wines. So let's discuss why dry is not always better. First of all, don't be shy if you like sweeter wines. Over thousands of years, we have developed a preference for sweeter things. It wasn't always the case that we had plenty of food available in our fridges and across the street at the supermarket. Our ancestors had to gather food themselves, and in many cases they wouldn't know when and if at all the next meal would be. Therefore, naturally, we developed a preference for sweeter things because it simply meant that we are getting more calories. So first of all, liking sweet is completely normal. And while we shouldn't consume sugar as much as we do, it does have some benefits when it comes to wine. Every wine contains some residual sugar. Wine is a product of a natural process, fermentation. In reality, humans don't have to do much to make wine. In its simplest way, we just need to extract some juice from the grapes and leave it in the container somewhere warm. And the fermentation will happen. Yeast will begin to metabolize sugars into alcohol until either the food sources are over or the environment becomes too hostile for them. There are different sugars present and not all of them are consumed by yeasts. Therefore, even the driest wine styles will typically have some residual sugar, usually not more than 2 grams per liter. Out of these, some will be unfermentable sugars, not particularly sweet tasting on the palate. Just a fun fact for some who claim that 1 gram of sugar can make a huge difference, for the majority of people the perception threshold is 4 grams per liter and probably much higher for non-experienced wine consumers. Sugar in wine can be natural or added. In the majority of cases, we, the wine geeks, will prefer wine with naturally occurring sugar in it. This means that any sweetness in the wine will come from the grape itself, either because of delayed harvest, variety of practices that increase sugar concentration in the grapes, and or arrested fermentation. Because yeasts prefer glucose over fructose, it is safe to assume that fructose, the sweeter tasting sugar, will dominate the majority of semi-sweet and sweet wines. However, sweetness can also be achieved by adding sweeteners after fermentation is finished. And this can vary from simple sugar to RCM, which means rectified grape must, to another sweet wine such as Pedro Jimenez. While most of this is done to make simple wine sweeter and more appealing and perhaps to hide some flaws, it can also be done to create a better harmony in the wine or achieve a specific style, as in case with cream Jerez or champagne. Sugar is one of the most important elements in wine. First of all, because it can help to create an overall balance in wine. None of the foods we consume are 100% without sugar. In many cases, it is added to create balance even in more savory dishes, and the same goes for wines. Acidity on its own can seem harsh or even aggressive, and sugar can add roundening or softening effect to it. And it doesn't mean that wine has to taste sugary or sticky. I have tasted many wines with technically high levels of residual sugar, yet they finish refreshing and dry. The sugar is there to balance the acidity. Another factor is that sugar increases mouthfeel and can add weight to the mid-palate. Moreover, if we stop to think of sugar as an element that corrects or repairs bad wine, then we can see it as an element that enhances the flavors of a great wine. It is also an important element in age-worthy wines. With years spent in the bottle, sugar will interact with other elements in wine, creating different flavors and adding layers of complexity. Let's talk about some of the most epic wines with sweetness. Mosel Riesling, or Riesling grape in general, is a prime example. I do love dry Rieslings. They can be so intense both on the nose and palate and offer this beautiful fruit precision. But Riesling, probably more than any other grape, can handle sugar beautifully. Even some of the sweetest dessert wines made from Riesling often finish with a drying note, and rarely do these wines feel cloaking and sugary. Chenin Blanc is another grape that plays with sugar beautifully. To be honest, I prefer the off-dry wine styles better than the bone-dry, and Vouvray is one of the first ones that comes to my mind. Among lesser-known grape varieties, I think Petit Manseng can handle sugar gracefully. While many will associate it with lusciously sweet wines, but thanks to an overall trend toward drier styles, it is increasingly made into dry style wines as well. And yet some playful sugar is always welcomed to rounder the edges of the particularly high acidity this grape delivers. And last but not least, I want to mention champagne, guys. Yes, I left it here at the end so you don't turn off the video at the very beginning. Champagne is another wine that is famous for having high acidity, and sugar has always been an important part of it. While I do love some of the drier style champagnes, I think that for more balance and certainly aging potential, dosage plays a significant factor. It is no surprise that some of the champagne's greatest, age-worthy and most sought-after labels come with a significant amount of dosage as high as 8 or 9 grams of sugar per liter. And I don't want to forget about those lusciously sweet dessert wines such as Sauternes, Tokaj, Beerenauslese and ice wines, variety of dessert wines made from dried grapes, and the seduction of fortified wines. I mean, Madeira, aged port and Vinho Natural are some of the greatest wines in the world, and they have significant amount of sugar. So please don't chase trends, drink what you like, and if it happens to have some residual sugar, that's perfectly fine. And let me know in the comments if you have ever been shamed for liking wine with some sweetness in it. I mentioned a lot champagne in this video and how it is made. And if you want to know more about champagne winemaking process, click the video here.